Exchange recipes.
Oh.
So I know, we do it in the pool, like I'm training water, we talk at restaurants.
Some of your teachers.
I mean, if it's a social club, I don't put anything like.
But I like to get my.
I see.
Oh, yeah, that's why I never do that. So it takes people.
Yeah, I mean, we have to think it's fine. I don't know, it's a Justin Daniel meetings thing, but I haven't seen anything, no one.
Excuse me.
No, it's not Katie, it's
She was the social, I thought they.
she does, but it's Justin.
Okay.
I don't know.
If they did, I didn't
Not here
know.
today, but he's working from home today, like that.
Well, no, we were with.
Yeah, there's a bunch of. You're rising, you're like down with the lake. You said you were rising.
No, I don't know what I said, no.
That's what you said, it was cool, I was like, hey, you got the sleigh.
I don't even know that means.
Don't worry about it.
I mean, it's like chatting, like being charming.
Really?
That's what the kids.
Somebody.
No, you can.
If you're saying not safe.
You say, no. Yeah, we could share it. Yeah, that's what I thought, maybe she else, no. Okay, you listen to something else. As you know, I only learned about this yesterday, it's like, yesterday, my books. Well, it used to be a morning thing, maybe. Oh, that's 50. She doesn't get followed.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But she's been doing it for 40 years, Kat.
Right.
Hello. My phone out to know the time.
We're gonna start
So
soon.
no clock in here.
There'll be no talking.
Right.
Because it takes up everything. If you
Are you? Don't move too far forward or you're gonna be in the camera. Oh, I don't wanna do that.
Yeah.
So, I wasn't sure who I was over here today.
I'll introduce myself. Sorry.
Did you read the book?
Did you get yourself some treats?
That's okay.
You absolutely should.
I'm sure it's delicious.
The croissants are from this morning.
I don't doubt that it's delicious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You shall resist. Yay, okay. So my name is Maria Ressina, I'm a librarian here, and today I will be talking about Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Who has read a Taylor Jenkins Reid before? 1, 2. Okay, which ones?
7 Husbands.
7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, yes. And is it Daisy Jones and the Six, Malibu
Okay, I
Rising?
didn't read it, but I watched it on Netflix.
Not surprising.
Malibu Rising.
And the one about tennis.
Oh, yeah.
Carrie Soto is back.
Oh, I read that.
Okay, so we have some readers. So I chose this book before having read it. Because I read everything that Taylor Jenkins Reid comes out with, and I figured that I would like it, and I was right. Most people have actually read 7 Husbands because book clubs do them all the time. Very, very common one. So who is the elusive Taylor Jenkins Reid? So she began her career in film production, which you can tell based on her books. After graduating from college, she moved to LA, worked as a casting assistant. She also worked at a high school before getting a book deal at the age of 24, which is very young for a book deal. But her first book, Forever Interrupted, was published in 2013 and no one read it. But then she worked on Resident Advisors, the TV show in 2015, and no one watched it. And then she published One True Loves in 2016, and the film adaptation, which released in 2023, stars Philippa Sue, Simu Liu, and Luke Bracey. And then she had a novel that people actually read, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, published in 2017. The story of a fictional old Hollywood star as she reveals the long-held secrets tarnishing both her mysterious life and glamorous marriages. The first book of hers that I read was Daisy Jones and the Six, recounting, using an oral history format, the ups and downs of a fictional 1970s rock band, loosely based on Fleetwood Mac. So Daisy Jones and the Six is a fictionalized account, just like all of her fictionalized accounts, and it's part of sort of a trilogy, but not really. So Carrie Soto, Daisy Jones, and Evelyn Hugo are part of a little set, and the characters appear in each one. And then this book is a whole other ballgame. Daisy Jones won a bunch of awards, Goldsboro Books Glass Bell Award in 2020, and there was, of course, a TV series, which was very good. I liked it anyway. Did anyone see the TV series? Carol saw it.
The one of Daisy Jones.
Yeah,
Very good.
I thought
And
so
the
too.
main actress, the granddaughter of Elvis Presley.
Of Fleetwood Mac?
No,
Elvis.
Right, that's true. Yeah, so,
Riley Keough,
and beautiful, of course.
and it was really good, lots of music, lots of whatever. It was only after I realized it was based on a true story.
I had no idea either. And also, I think upon reading Daisy Jones, a lot of people think that it's a real band.
I did, and I
And
never heard of it.
and they go and they look up the songs, but the songs were created after the book was written. So then they kind of meta created a band. In 2021, Malibu Rising came out. It was a New York Times bestseller, and it is being adapted on Hulu into a TV series. Carrie Soto's back is the tennis one, as Danielle identified. It's the fourth one, and that one is part of that same, she's calling it the Famous Women Quartet. Although all of her books are famous women quartets, let's, be honest. It's printed on giant paper, so you'll see me flipping. So, Carrie Soto is also being made for a Netflix series with Serena Williams as the executive producer. Yeah, Atmosphere, published in June 2025, it tells the story of two fictional NASA astronauts during the 1980s space shuttle program. And that's the one I'm talking about today. So I realized that some people might have actually been around during the time of the space race. In fact, most people besides me. I had a science teacher in high school who passionately told us about seeing the space race when he was a child, and that definitely stuck in my mind. We can't talk about the space race, of course, without talking about the Russians. I was born in the Soviet Union, so there's some connection there for me in this book as well. I have a fun question. Who knows the difference between an astronaut and a cosmonaut? So cosmonaut is what they call astronauts everywhere else, except in the United States. Because astro is from the Latin and cosmo is from the Greek. So they went and split it. But the thing is with cosmo, so cosmo means harmonious or universe in Greek, but then astro just means celestial body, which is funny because essentially the idea is that everybody is trying to go up to space and have a harmonious setup, and then here we're like, it's a sport. We will get there because that is how we function. I also have kind of a fun story with the Russians and the Americans. This is kind of a, do you know what they call roller coasters in French? Does anyone know?
Montagne russe.
Montagne russe. Well, in Russian,
Montagne russe.
Montagne russe. In Russian, they are Amerikanskie gorki.
Oh.
So the space race continues in your everyday life. Now I'm gonna give you a little, those are in case I run out of things to say, which seems unlikely at this stage. So I'm gonna give you a little context, although you guys probably know a lot of this. I'm not giving you all of the information. Who has read Hidden Figures or watched the movie? Yes, very nice. So Katherine Johnson joined NASA in 1953. She was a human computer, the first Black woman to work for the agency. But in terms of just going through the list, so the first creature to go into space, the first mammal, I suppose, is Laika the dog in 1957. Devastating story. There's a graphic novel for those of you who are willing to read those and cry. The dog does not come back because they didn't have the actual setup. So that was the first ever time we sent someone into space, and it has been dangerous ever since, clearly. The first man in space was Yuri Gagarin, 1961. He was there for 108 minutes, and he went around the Earth one time. He was in orbit just the one time on Vostok 1. Vostok means east in Russian. And unlike the early US human spaceflight programs, Gagarin didn't land inside of the capsule. He actually ejected out of his, and he came down on parachute, which sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
And then historically, so what Gagarin says when he gets on that space mission, he says, "Поехали," which means like, we're off. And I think that's where Pixar got their Buzz Lightyear to infinity and beyond thing. And then the first American man, soon after, of course, was Alan Shepard in May of 1961. He was on the suborbital mission Freedom 7 aircraft. His flight lasted 15 minutes. Now the difference, 1957 for the Russians and then 1961 for the Americans. The first woman in space was Russian or American? Russian, of course. Valentina Vladimirova Tereshkova. She is still alive. She's 88 years old. She flew on a solo mission on Vostok 6 in June of 1963. She orbited the Earth 48 times and spent around 3 days in space. She was 26 at the time, and before her selection for the Soviet space program, she was a textile factory worker and an amateur skydiver. She wasn't bored. She joined the Air Force as part of the Cosmonaut Corps and was commissioned as an officer after completing her training. And after the dissolution of the first group of female cosmonauts in 1969, Tereshkova remained in the space program as a cosmonaut instructor. Now, why am I telling you about all this? You'll see once I start talking about the book that Taylor Jenkins Reid did her research because bits of all of these people appear in the characters of the book. So I found the book more enjoyable with that knowledge, since obviously I had to reread it a bunch of times to do this review. Let's see. After the flight of Yuri Gagarin in 1961, Nikolai Kamanin, director of cosmonaut training, read in the American media that female pilots would be trained. So then he says, "We cannot allow that the first woman in space will be American. This would have been an insult to the patriotic feelings of Soviet women." So that's when they sent Valentina, who I'm referring to as though I know her now. So her calling was Chaika, which means seagull. That's what they called her from Capcom. And the first thing she said in space was, "It is I, seagull. Everything is fine. I see the horizons. It's a sky blue with a dark strip. How beautiful the earth is. Everything is going well." Who do you think the second woman in space was, Russian or American? Russian. Svetlana Savitskaya in 1948. She was also the first woman to fly on a space station. Oh, I'm wrong, aren't I?
Yeah.
No, 48, Robbie 48.
So when do you think it was?
68.
68, yeah, that makes more sense. Hold on. I think maybe I don't have her in here. Interesting. No, I do. 1984.
Oh.
Totally wrong.
Oh, it's 48. We inverted it last minute.
I blame the internet. So she was the first woman to fly on a space station and to perform a spacewalk. She was also the first woman to be on 2 space flights. She would have been on 3, but then she got pregnant. and had a baby, and she's still around. She is 77 years old. Then we move to Sally Ride. Who knows about Sally Ride? Very good. Okay, what do we know about Sally Ride? No fun.
American travel.
Correct. So she was the first woman to travel to space, and she worked for Capcom in 1981. She went to space at 32, making her the youngest American woman. The Russians were like in their 20s. I don't know what happened. So Sally was a graduate of Stanford, where she earned a bachelor's of science in physics, bachelor's degree in English literature, very useful in a space flight, and a master's of science in 1975, and then a doctorate in 1978 in physics for the research on interaction of X-rays and interstellar medium. So she was selected as a mission specialist astronaut with NASA Astronaut Group 8. The first class of NASA astronauts to include women. She completed her training in 1979. So Sally Ride, I have two funny stories about Sally Ride. So the first one is apparently the year that Sally Ride went to space, pardon the only gentleman in the room, they offered her 100 tampons tied together like sausages, and they said, will this be enough tampons for your week in space?
Oh my God.
This is a true story. These are actual rocket scientists, and that is what they did. And then the following year, they spent a year developing makeup for space. Because obviously the powder would jam up all the instruments and kill everyone. And Sally Ride did not take the makeup to space. She felt that there was not enough room. And the other thing about Sally is that her obituary, so she had been married to a man for most of her life. He passed away before her. And in 2012, when she passed away, her obituary revealed that she had been in a relationship with a woman her entire life, Tam O'Shaughnessy, with whom she had written some books. Her husband had known her. Her husband was also an astronaut, but it wasn't revealed until 2012, after she passed away, that she had been in that relationship most of her life. So I thought that was fascinating and also insane. The first Jewish astronaut, does anyone know who that is? Nope. It's Judith Arlene Resnick, American electrical engineer, software engineer, biomedical engineer, pilot, and NASA astronaut. She perished in the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster. She was the fourth woman, the second American woman, and the first Jewish woman of any nationality to fly in space.
Teacher?
No, the other one. was
No.
Sally. It's we Kristen McCall.
There was a teacher, that one, there was somebody who was
The teacher about
The teacher.
Yeah, so the Challenger had many people on it, so there were quite a few. As I mentioned, with Laika the dog, space travel is not for people who are unwilling to die in the attempt. The first mother in space was Anna Lee Fisher. She was an American chemist, emergency physician, and former NASA astronaut, formerly married to fellow astronauts. So it's very common for astronauts to intermarry because no one else can really understand your experience. There's like 0.03%, but there's like 3% of people who have ever been to space. So if that's an experience you've had, very few people will understand you, is the truth of it. I also have, so this is Paul Dye. He was Capcom for a number of missions, and Taylor Jenkins Reid dedicated the book to him because he helped her so much in her research for the book. I keep bringing up Capcom, it will be relevant to the book, I promise. This is a picture of the group of 8, Mercury 13. So this was a private enterprise by this gentleman, William Randolph Lovelace. He, in 1940, had met Jacqueline Cochran, who was a pilot, and held 3 women's speed records. And he decided that maybe women are good for space, actually. And he tried, so he recruited this is 8 out of the, 7 out of the 13 Myrtle Kegel, Jerry Cobb, Janet and Marion Dietrich. They're not on this picture, but they were twins. I thought it was interesting. They essentially assessed that these twins would be good to go to space because it's very challenging to go to space. Wally Funk, Sarah Gorelick, Jane Briggs, Jean Hickson, Rhea Wolfman, Jean Starbro, Irene Leverton, January Sloan, and Bernice Stedman were the candidates. Out of them, only 3 actually went to space. It's a challenging task. This is a picture of an actual what the Challenger would have looked like. In the book, they talk a lot about how that works. Essentially, the shuttle goes up and then parts of it come off as you go and head into the stratosphere, and what that experience is like. I just wanted to give you an idea what it must be like to walk up these stairs to leave the planet. This is the launch complex 34. It's a picture of 3 astronauts who perished on Apollo 1, Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee. So this is a plaque that they have in Florida at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. In the book, they go to Cape Canaveral pretty often, so it's a reference that I didn't know until I did the research. Okay, now to the actual book, now that you know everything about space, clearly. So, our characters, we have Joan Goodwin. This is not a real picture of Joan, this is AI. I asked for a photo of an astronomer. So Joan is described as being very humble, down to earth, which is a funny thing to say about an astronaut. So she comes into the space program. At this point, she's a physician and an astronomer, and she's obsessed with the stars. So Taylor Jenkins Reid said that one day she had put her daughter to bed, she went outside, and she looked up at the stars, and she thought, wow, I wish I knew all of these constellations. And then she went inside and she got her daughter, and that's definitely a mistake, don't wake up your children. And then they both looked at the stars, and she said, I want to write a book. So that's how she came up with Joan Goodwin. So Joan, I think, is very largely based on Sally Ride. She's very humble, she's very intelligent, but she also isn't just an astronaut, she's a painter, she's a pianist, she's very busy, she is very single. And between her and her sister, she is not the beautiful one, she is the smart one. So that's a big part of the focus, but she really wants to go to space. So it's really important for Joan. And as a character, she's incredibly sympathetic. For those of you who read the book, I don't know if you agree, did you like Joan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I rarely read adult novels in which the main lead women are not at least a little insufferable. I'm not trying to be mean, it's the truth. Joan is kind and she has integrity and she's honest and she says what she believes. I think she's a little bit coded as, you know, on the spectrum, like she cannot tell a lie. It's not,
That's what it seemed like.
yeah, it's not, but I guess that's very common with books about women in science. But I also really appreciate with Joan that unlike just being a woman in science, usually when we write about women in science, they are ambitious and strong and type A. But here she's also a caretaker. She loves her sister and she adores her niece, Frances. This is also AI. If you ask AI for a person, then you say maybe their sister and their niece, that's what you get. So Frances is her 7-year-old niece. She goes from the age of 7 to 11. And Barbara, her sister, is a single mom. Barbara is the one who tells her about the space program. She says, you should join NASA, Joan. You've got nothing going on here on Earth. In those terms, Barbara is a difficult character. She's not the best mom. She is quite selfish and she's very focused on her beauty and attracting a man to save her from her poverty. But Joan loves her sister and wants to take care of her. And in some ways, I think Joan's personality has a lot to do with not being Barbara. But the relationship between Joan and her niece is so special because we never see that in books. I don't know how many of you guys have nieces or great nieces, and it's definitely a different relationship than you would have with your own children. And Frances as a character is very much a real child. She's not too sweet or sacred. She's not, you know, just so wonderful in every way. She's, you know, spunky and difficult, and she loves her aunt and wishes her mom would pay more attention to her. So as that's really annoying, hold on, guys, everyone can read it. There. So that's a really important relationship in this book is family, the focus on family, which is such a contrast to everything that's going on. The next important character we have is Vanessa Ford. She is a fellow astronaut, but unlike Joan, Vanessa is a daredevil. She's really cool, and if she were a real person, she'd wear a leather jacket and drive a Mustang, and she's always, she can drink, and she pushes Joan a little, and Joan, up to this point, has never been in a proper relationship, and Vanessa Ford is the Tam O'Shaughnessy to her. Yes. We're ignoring it. Ignore my colleagues on Teams. So this is my AI version of Vanessa Ford. I said an attractive woman with curly dark hair, and this is who in an astronaut suit. Vanessa is also a really wonderful like helper with Francis, and Joan and Vanessa's relationship is a lovely slow burn. You have to get about half, you know it's coming because it's called a love story, but there are multiple love stories here. There is Joan and Vanessa's love story, there's Joan's love story with her family, there's Joan's love story with space and the stars. So there's a lot going on in this book in that sense, and I find that really compelling. And then there's the rest of the crew. This is AI, and there were no black men in her crew. This is just what they provided me. So the characters are really interesting. They are fully fleshed out, but they are definitely based on the real historical characters. So Griff is another astronaut in her team, and he falls in love with Joan. Mistake when Joan is in love with Vanessa. Lydia is another one, and Lydia is a type A woman. She feels that she needs to be a man, and she needs to compete with all the other women in the team because they're not competing with the men, they're competing with each other. There's no choice. So Lydia is kind of, you know, when they make misogynistic jokes, she will laugh along to try to fit in. Lydia is kind of not everyone loves her. I think she's an interesting character. Hank and Donna are some more astronauts who are in love, and their relationship is perfectly fine. But of course, Joan and Vanessa have to hide their relationship. So that's an interesting contrast. They get to watch what that looks like. And of course, some of the other characters are the stars. There's a lot of symbolism of the stars. Who knows constellations? Nobody. I know Ursa Major or Ursa Minor. I don't think they really look like bears. I think they look like a large pot and a small pot. But it is a big part of the book to describe the stars, and it does make you want to go out and take a look and sort of experience what's out there in that sense.
For the next 4 nights, I think, there's 4 planets that are aligning.
There's something happening, it has to be clear, that has to be clear.
Yeah, that's very true. I think there's also like some meteor showers this summer. The heat is very good for that. So the constellations are just a huge part of the narrative, and it comes and goes. So I think it's a good idea to maybe check in. They also visit Joshua Tree National Park in the book, and that's a great place to see the stars. So the first time I saw the stars, really, I was on birthright. I was 18, and I looked up, and I never realized what it looks like. I thought that the sky was a place that was dark, but no, the sky is a place that is extremely alight. But we don't see that in the city at all, so it's you know, if anyone has ever seen the sky in the desert, it's pretty life-changing. I didn't want to go up there because I'm scared of heights, but these characters sure did. The other, where are we at? So some themes. And these get picked up in a lot of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. Women in a male-dominated world. Daisy Jones also has that element. Family versus your career. Following your passion. Faith versus science was a big thing in this. I thought it was interesting. So Joan is a scientist through and through, but she believes in God. And Vanessa is the opposite. She feels that as astronauts, God doesn't align with what they think. So they have this debate pretty frequently, and you should read the book to see sort of where you lean on what you think is happening. what does it mean to live a good or worthy life, and how much of ourselves do we give up to take care of others, are some of the interesting themes in the book. Family is a major theme. I spoke about it pretty lengthily, but I think it wouldn't be the same story without it. I think that it brings up so much for Joan as a character. Feminism, major element here. I could go through the whole list of where women's rights have been at, but I won't. But it is always a major element for all of her books, but this one in particular, I think was really strong. It's just like Hidden Figures. I love those kinds of themes because it really shows how society has evolved. It was the 1980s, it's not that long ago. Ladies in Love, LGBTQ representation. I didn't know this was going to be a sapphic romance when I picked it up. And the romance is very much about companionship and understanding, much more so than physical attraction. The physical attraction is there, but it's definitely not the forefront of the book. So it's not a romance novel. It was also an interesting time in general, so there was a lot of progress in acceptance of gay rights, and then there was kind of a resurgence of conservative viewpoints at this exact time. So I can see why they were reluctant to talk about it. And Joan, as a character, didn't know that she was a lesbian up until she meets Vanessa. She had never been in any sort of relationship, male or female, so it didn't matter. She just kind of, I guess, in modern times we would call her asexual, but she was not. She just hadn't met the right person. So this was, it's the 80s, it was very different, but was it really, if you look at what's going on now, you might feel that not so different after all. It is a major interesting component to the book, and in fact, Taylor Jenkins Reid said that upon writing it, she recognized that she herself was bisexual. She's married to a man, she has a daughter, but she didn't realize it until she was writing these scenes and she went, uh-oh. Which I thought was very interesting. It's an interesting way to find yourself. Friendship, big component of the book. So she's part of a whole team at NASA and you do care about them. So the book chronologically jumps between the 14th of December, 1984, and then all of the backstory prior to that. The first chapter is Joan coming in, and that day she is Capcom. Does everyone know what Capcom is? So, you know, in movies when they go Houston, come in Houston, the person at the Houston, it's because they're in Houston, Texas, and they are listening in. So they are the one voice that all of the astronauts can hear. So she comes in and Vanessa's up there and Griff is up there and Lydia's up there. Her whole team is up there. She is Capcom that day. Griff and Vanessa are fixing some latches on the ship. They're about to close it and then there's an explosion. So she's listening in on what's going on. They can see all of the stats of all of the other astronauts and she has to find the words to get as many people home as possible. So that is the first chapter, so I'm not spoiling anything. So the whole book, as you learn about every character and how she got into NASA, you're trying to figure out who's coming home, who's going to survive, is anyone going to survive, and how will Joan handle it? And also, how will she hide her relationship while she's speaking to the woman that she loves as Capcom from back on Earth? So that's the ticking clock of the book, and it keeps you turning the pages because you want to know who's going to make it, but it's very stressful. Similar books, if you like them, I always recommend Lessons in Chemistry, but it's a very similar book in that it's about women in science. And Elizabeth Zott is a much more decisive main character than Joan. Joan is kind of a little bit more removed, more humble. Hidden Figures, of course, that's a nonfiction. I think if you liked the film, you should definitely read the actual book. And Enlightenment by Sarah Perry, that one is also about space travel, but it's also a fictional novel. That's all I've got for you today. Do we have any thoughts, questions?
Yes. As much as I like the first two, I could not read this. I got halfway through. Oh, it was just too much.
Did you get to the love story?
on the cusp, we just started.
Cusp of the love story to
Just the
stop,
beginning, and I thought halfway through, like, why couldn't we should talk about the relationship earlier?
the slow burn.
It was, like you, not like you, I didn't realize at the beginning that it was gonna be towards the end. And I don't wanna be a spoiler, but it's a riveting end. I went to the back. I cheated.
You rebel.
I did. So, yeah, okay, so, but the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I read every page.
Right.
I loved it because it was about Hollywood and how it was all they, you know. They weren't even really true husband and wife, it was just for publicity. I don't know if any of you read it, I don't
Yeah,
know,
I did.
spoiler alert. Arrow,
It's a
did you
very
read it?
Yeah.
Are you gonna read it?
Yes.
So I don't wanna be as, but the end was also very good. Very good. And, Daisy Jones was completely different.
Yeah, Daisy
So
Jones
that
had a
was-
twist.
Oh, then I didn't see all of it. The end?
Daisy, well, even in the books, you discover why Camila is spoken about in the way that Camila is.
I'll have to go back, hadn't seen it.
Can I spoil Daisy Jones?
Yeah,
Okay,
but-
Danielle say no.
I didn't read it.
Oh,
Okay, I
I'll go
will.
back to Netflix, I'll go back and see the last two, whatever.
The TV series and the books end quite differently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Daisy Jones is written in an interview format and they speak to each of the band members trying to figure out why they broke up. But then knowing the identity of the interviewer changes your read of the book.
So I just wanna ask, in this one, is there a lot of technicality at the
No.
beginning?
So no, which
That's
is,
what I'm afraid, 'cause
yeah.
I don't wanna know too much about how to
Exactly.
fly into space.
Exactly, it was, I have to say, sorry, boring. It was over my head.
Yeah, that's.
so I didn't think it was very technical at all. Which is why I gave you all the background context, because none of that's in the book. You can, so there's things like the training, so they go up to space and so she goes up to space one time, she spends the entire time throwing up. And she does the research, but it's quite a feat, and she doesn't really wanna go up to space anymore because it wasn't a good time.
Yeah.
She's not the only one. It is very physically demanding, so she can do the mental part, but the physical is very hard. They do some of the training, they go paragliding. So they have to disconnect and then they have to fall into the water and then swim up and get themselves into a buoy like a little raft. And they have to open the raft and they have to climb into it. That is insane. So that's kind of the stuff at the beginning, is a lot of her training montage, it's kind of her getting to be that point. I mean, I don't think anyone reads Joan as being very sporty, like from the beginning, she doesn't seem like she's very cerebral, she's a brain, right? She's not a muscle kind of lady. Which is the opposite of Vanessa, who's a muscle kind of lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can fast read. You
Like
have to read every single sentence or every single, just like, fast, yes, read, that's the word.
you can, this,
I'm
you
getting good
can,
at it.
you can read it, I
Getting
think you can read it on a plane or on a beach, I think it's a quick read, and the audiobook is only like 10 hours, which for an audiobook is really short, most audiobooks are like 20, I don't know if you guys do audiobooks, but the audiobook of this is for an audiobook extremely short, and actually compared to Seven Husbands, it's like I think 80 pages shorter. So I think it's an easy sell. I think all of her books are quite good. I haven't read the first two.
Oh, I was gonna ask you if you read the first one.
No, I think I should. Have you read it?
No, I don't think so.
No one has read it, which is why I think I should read it. Otherwise, I think it's not fair to poor Taylor Jenkins read it.
Something interrupted.
Yeah, Forever Interrupted, it's here on the
Forever.
corner. And then that one.
Why didn't people read it?
So she wasn't a known author, she had a debut and then she had another one, and she's gotten allegedly better with every book, although not every book is for everyone. I think all her books are extremely different. So it's the writing style that I find appealing, I find it very accessible, it's not verbose, it's not flowery, it's not going into little details of things I don't care about, it's not describing the tree at the end of the lane, you know? It doesn't try to go for the metaphors, you have to get them out, and I find her dialogue and her arguments very good. I find that she people argue the way they really argue in real life. They huff off, they leave, they banter. It doesn't feel, it feels like a movie, which is why so many of her books have become, I think, TV shows. Because it's a talent that she has, and not every author is good at that, in my
But you
experience.
said that she was first worked in TV.
She worked for TV, yeah,
So she worked for TV and that's where she got her thing for writing.
100%.
Yeah.
So I felt bad that I didn't appreciate the book. It was a bestseller. I was on number 20 on reserve. I got it at a 7-day loan. And I thought, what's wrong with me, you know? So I went to Google Reads and I felt so much better because I wasn't the only one who felt the way I did.
Oh, I have been there, yes, for a lot of the Canada Reads books.
Well, not only them, but just Google itself. And people are very honest. So there are some books that I didn't think were so fantastic that were bestsellers and everybody did. So it makes you feel better that you're not alone.
Yeah.
I think, so you don't have to be a sci-fi fan, but it does help if you like space at least a little, or have an interest in space. It doesn't have to be a strong interest. But I think you have to at least tangentially think, women in space is cool.
I would say the same for Carrie Soto is back. I
The tennis.
truly enjoyed it, but if you already enjoyed tennis to begin with, you'll enjoy it more.
She was a sex player. Based on.
There you go, thank you.
No, it's based on.
Carrie Soto, the tennis. Yeah. Yeah, Carrie Soto.
Yeah.
Let's go back one low, Malibu Rising. Okay, so I read that whole book.
That one's a celebrity one. It's like,
It's a
Yeah, yeah.
family story.
Yeah.
It was family, exactly. It wasn't really a love story, it was about family and ownership and entitlement, right,
inheritance.
right.
So I like her writing style. Is it readable, like? Or does
Yes,
it get
yes,
bogged
yes.
down?
No,
The vocabulary is not at a super high level. It doesn't require that of you. I feel like it reads like a movie. It reads to me like a little bit like a script, which is what I like. I find that the pages go by quickly. And even if there's a part that's not so interesting, I know we're about to move on. And plus, because it goes between that day where everyone is dying in space and the other things, I know we're gonna come back to what's gonna happen on that day, so that kept me going, kind of like a fish.
I didn't know that. I kept waiting for their relationship. And that's
You wanted the
what-
love
I
story.
did.
Yeah, it gets there. They're a very sweet couple once you get there. You might wanna give it a go. And they're really supportive of each other and understanding of each other, which you don't always see. Like, they do seem to really understand who the other person is internally and understand their little quirks and kind of try to appeal to the other person before being asked, which is so nice. You know, and they see each other's flaws as well. Like, Vanessa really understands that Frances is, as her niece, is number one in Joan's eyes, and she never oversteps that boundary. Which is so lovely, because you often see in relationships, you know, people get together and there's kind of a joke in the LGBTQ community that when two women get together, they move in like the next day. It's called U-hauling. Because you fall in love and then you immediately move in together. That is not what happens here. They are so respectful of each other's boundaries and also each other's past, because Vanessa is experienced and has lived things and Joan is a little bit sheltered. So there's a lot of that, and she really she feels defensive of Joan, like she doesn't like Joan's sister because Joan's sister is not kind to Joan.
yeah, but Joan's sister is made to be a very yucky character.
Right.
Yes. Barb she just gets worse, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And the parents, I think, are supposed to be quite nice. We don't see
I
them
didn't think
much.
so.
You didn't think?
No, I didn't think the parents were very nice.
Huh.
I don't think they appreciated her.
Joan?
Yeah,
I think it happens a lot in a family where one child is the one who makes all the mistakes, so they get all the attention, the other one's the good child, the golden child, so you don't have to take care of her, she's fine, she's an astronaut. So there's a lot of that, it's a big component of the book. I think it's worth exploring if you haven't read it. I am looking forward to her next book, she's already announced it. I don't remember what it's called.
How many copies are there in the library?
We have quite a few because because this was coming up. This is my personal copy, if you wanna finish it.
She's on this.
Okay, yes. So the next Books and Bites, I said I was gonna tell you guys when the next one is.
So this is a new series, a new series.
Yeah, so we've had 2 already, you can watch them on YouTube, Danielle did one, and Jennifer Eisman did one. And the next one was with our library director, Janine West, in October. I also want to tell you what the book is, hold on.
Like mother.
Yeah, I don't remember,
Yeah, right.
do you remember the name of the author?
No, because I have it at home.
Hold on,
Me too.
It's sitting on my
like
fireplace.
mother, like
Got it.
mother.
Are these always on Monday afternoon?
So they used to be Monday mornings and now they're Monday afternoons, by Susan Rieger, that's the next book. So check your newsletter for that. So Janine will be reviewing and there will be other bites. The chocolates and the candy are from Ella's Deli on Westminster and cote-saint-luc Road. It's all from the Russian store because we were talking about cosmonauts.
Please,
Thank you, Maria. What
Thank you.
surprised you most when you read this book?
What surprised me most, maybe the sudden love story that I didn't see coming at all, because I didn't read the synopsis. I didn't realize it was going to be 2 ladies in love.
Yeah, you thought it was gonna be the man.
Well, because you meet Griff and Griff is so nice,
Exactly.
and you think it's gonna,
Yeah.
that they're gonna be
But you
great
didn't like-
together.
Is the next one gonna be in the morning, or the afternoon, afternoon?
Oh,
2 p.m. October 8th.
okay, that's interesting.
Thank you for coming. If you have any other questions, I'm still here. And you can pocket some chocolates on your way out if you like.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you very much.